afternoon, everyone. I'm Chuck Callahan, president of the Memorial Health Hospital Group in Springfield Memorial Hospital. And on behalf of the nearly 10,000 colleagues of Memorial Health across Central Illinois, I'm pleased to welcome you to this event where we're recognizing the importance and the impact of organ donation to so many people here in Illinois and across our nation. As you know, April is Donate Life Month, and we stand together today to honor how the decision to become an organ donor makes such a difference in the lives of individuals and families, and to appreciate that today more than 100,000 people across our nation are on lists waiting to be notified that vital organ or tissues have become available to help them in their lives. Memorial Health, and specifically the Alan G. Birch Center for Transplant Services, as well as HSHS St. John's Hospital, are honored to have been longtime partners with Gift of Hope to coordinate organ donation and raise awareness of this important need in our communities. With us today is a distinguished panel who will, in a few moments, help tell the story of why Donate Life Month is so special. Joining us today are the Honorable Jesse White, Illinois Secretary of State, Edgar Curtis, President and CEO of Memorial Health, Polly Hohenberry, Director of Adult Critical Care Services at HSHS St. John's Hospital, Dr. Harry Wilkins, CEO of Gift of Hope, Tiffany Mathis, CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of Central Illinois and an organ recipient, Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder, Phillip Hanks, Illinois Secretary of State Organ and Tissue Donor Program Coordinator, as well as Julie Jones, Chaplain at Memorial Health. In addition, I'd like to recognize a few special guests that have joined us today. In the front row, we have Connie Boatman, Illinois Secretary of State Tissue Donor Director. Also, Alderwoman Ward 5, Lakeisha Purchase here in Springfield. And Jim Allman, Sangamon County Coroner. So at this time, to help tell the story of why we're here today and why this is so important, I'd like to recognize the Honorable Jesse White and invite him to join us at the podium.
Thank you very much, Henry. Supreme Commander, the rule of all you survey. To Mr. Callahan, and to our honored guests, and to you, ladies and gentlemen. As was indicated, my name is Jesse White. I did not come here today to check on your driver's license or your state ID. But I do want you to remember that he who giveth can't take it away. And for the ladies, I'm in your purse, and for the gentlemen, I'm in your wallet. For 24 years, I've had the great pleasure of serving as your Secretary of State. I want to thank you for the job. However, in January, I will leave this office and I will go on to other bigger and better things. I coach a team called the Jesse White Tumblers, and we've been around for 63 years, and we have had 18,000 kids. So my mission will be to help these young people to continue to grow tall and straight, and let them know that it's important for them to put something between their ears every day other than scalp. We're talking about knowledge, and that will carry them far. And to love their fellow man and woman and never ever dislike anyone because of race, creed, or color. That is the Youngers card that cannot play that one. Today in my office, we had some young people who took part in our poster contest, which has been around for about 24 years, where these young people did all they could to draw pictures and to make statements pertaining to the importance of individuals participating in the organ and tissue donor program. I have a little story I'd like to tell. My brother was a pharmacist at the Lakeside VA Hospital. He wasn't feeling well. And so my mother continued to ask me to take him to the doctor because he was complaining about a headache. And I said, Ma, he's a pharmacist. He should certainly know how to take care of a headache. Well, as it turned out, I did take him to the doctor's office. The doctor said he was suffering from an aneurysm, so I took him from the doctor's office to University of Chicago Hospital. And they put him on life support right away. And a member from the regional organ bank of Illinois came up to me and said, if by chance your brother happens to pass away, can we use his organs for transplantation purposes? I said, no, don't bother him, don't bother us, leave us alone. I was unaware of the organ and tissue donor program. I was a state lawmaker, but for some reason, I was unaware of the organ and tissue donor program. And so that night, he passed away, and 2 days later, we buried him. And I didn't think any more of the organ and tissue donor program until 2 years later. My sister became ill and was in dire need of a kidney. There was not a match within the family. So she put her name on the organ tissue donor list, and 2 years later, she received her gift. And she lived an additional 28 years as a result of someone else's generosity. So I tell the people within the sound of my voice, when you're alive and well, give blood. When you're no longer here, give organs. And when you've done those two things, you've made a positive impact on society, considering the fact that one person can provide life or improve the quality of life for 25 individuals. You may not have a need today, you may not have a need tomorrow, but sometime during your lifetime, you or someone you may know may have a need for an organ. When I became the Secretary of State, we were 18 years of age, you could sign up to become a part of the organ and tissue donor program. And then, of course, you would have your next of kin to sign on as a co-maker or a co-signer. We no longer have that policy in place. We now have a first person consent policy whereby if you say you want to become a part of this program, we will sign you up and you'll be good to go, so to speak. We decided to involve our young people, the 16 and 17-year-olds, when they receive a driver's license or state ID, to ask them if they would like to participate in this wonderful program. 227,000 of these young people signed to become a part of this organ and tissue donor program, because they too said that if by chance I'm no longer here, I want to make sure that my organs can be used for transplantation purposes to give someone else a second chance at life. And so I'm on a mission. My mission is to stop as many people as I possibly can so that they can become a part of this wonderful program. I have 138 offices. I run the largest Secretary of State office in the United States. So with the 138 offices, when you want to get your driver's license, sticker, state ID, whatever the case may be, when you go in to receive those wonderful services, we would like for you to seriously consider becoming a part of the organ and tissue donor program. We're proud of the fact, too, that when I came on board many, many years ago, we had 4 million individuals who've signed to become a part of the organ and tissue donor program. Right now, we have 7.3 million people who have signed up. That's quite a number, but yet there are 4,000 people on the waiting list as we speak, and each year, about 300 people die because organs have not arrived in a timely fashion. So I would just hope that you would pass the word on that when you're alive and well, I'm going to give blood. I'm no longer here, I'm going to give organs. We honored a doctor at the Loyola Medical Center. The doctor gave her patient her kidney. A pastor gave one of his parishioners his kidney. A teacher in New Lakes, Illinois, gave her student. She's about 35 years old. A student was, I think, 10 or 11. She said, I want to help my student to improve his quality of life and live a long and productive life. And so she made this wonderful donation to her student. I want you to know that it's important for us to do all we can to support this wonderful program. It's a win-win situation for everyone. We have 138 facilities, as I said before, so when you go in, you say, I'd like to become a part of the organ and tissue donor program, and we'll sign you up. And then, of course, once you get signed up, you just know that when that moment arrives, that there will be an adequate supply of organs available for those in need. So if you cannot or don't want to come into one of my facilities, if you go to our website, www.sabardriveillinois.com or www, or better yet, 1-800-210-2106. 1-800-210-2106, and indicate you'd like to become a part of this wonderful program. And so to Mr. Callahan, the Supreme Commander, the root of all you survey, I want to thank you, sir, for allowing me an opportunity. That's a promotion, is that right? I want to thank you for allowing me to come to this wonderful, wonderful place where I know for a fact that the services that the people richly need and deserve are being provided. I just want to thank you for giving, caring, and for making a difference. And I look forward to working with this wonderful organization where the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the list goes on and on, are taking care of the business at hand. I've been in a hospital once upon a time. I used to jump out of airplanes, did 35 jumps while I was in the military. So I had to go to Northwestern Memorial Hospital to get 2 knees. And so I'm walking around with 2 very fine knees, thanks to the support I received at Northwestern Hospital. And so I just want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a problem, this is the place to come. And this is the safety net, the light in the tunnel for all of us. So again, thank you for allowing me an opportunity to come before you. And if by chance you want to come to the Secretary of State's office to get the services that you richly need and deserve, that is the place to be. So with that, enjoy this wonderful day. And sir, thank you very much for hosting this wonderful event. Thank you. Thank you.
Secretary White, for those very kind and inspiring words and your leadership over these many years in this important area. Next, I'd like to invite to the podium Mr. Edgar Curtis, who's the President and CEO of Memorial Health.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here. What a month this is. Some of you know me, some of you don't, but I've walked in this organization across the street 47 years ago as a 22-year-old registered nurse, and I asked and was assigned to be on the transplant service. And I met a new physician who was 40 years of age. His name is Alan G. Birch. Name sound familiar because our transplant program was named after him. He had only been here 18 months. He came from Harvard, Peter Brent Brigham, and he trained under a guy by the name of Joe Murray, who did the first transplant in the world at Harvard. And Dr. Birch was bigger than life to me and to all the rest of us here. And I've had a front row seat for this program for nearly 47 years. And Dr. Garfinkel, what you and your team continue to do here is nothing short of amazing. And I just can't thank all of you enough for what you're doing. There's so many people here I want to thank, but I really want to come back to why we're here today. It's that April's National Tissue Donor Month and Organ Donor Month. And I'm going to go back and say a few words about our Secretary of State, because I've had the privilege of watching Secretary of State White for 25 years. And I've seen how passionate he is about this subject. I understand his sister got the gift of life, but he just has been passionate about this. What state could have 7.4 million people with organ donation cards? And your leadership is nothing short of amazing. And I'm happy for you in the sense that you get to retire from public service in January of 23, but the shoes that are going to be left behind in our field are going to be significant because we need the next Secretary of State to have 1/10 of the interest that he has. So I share this passion with the Secretary for organ and tissue donation, but you know what I don't share with him? The passion for jumping out of an airplane. That just isn't going to happen. God bless you. But you know, if people don't donate organs, these recipients aren't going to have an opportunity. Mark and his team aren't going to have an opportunity. And there's so many people in there I want to thank. Certainly our organ bank representatives, but nobody's more important than our coroner that has been diligent about fighting in this community about tissue donation especially. And we're just so blessed to have this cohesive group of people that are so passionate about this area. And just to look back and see what's happened over the last 47 years is truly amazing. I know you're going to hear from a recipient here today, but without that donor, they wouldn't be here today. And so let's just all be passionate about this Organ Donation Month. And I can't thank you all enough, and it's just an honor to be here today. And thank you all.
Thank you, Ed. Next on our program, you will hear from Polly Hohenberry, who is Director of Adult Critical Care Services at HSHS St. John's Hospital in Springfield.
First of all, thank you for inviting us to be here. As you said, I'm Polly Hohenberry. I'm the Director of the Adult Critical Care Services at HSHS, also the Hospital Liaison for Gift of Hope. Over my 23 years of ICU experience, I've had the great honor of seeing countless courageous families turn the sadness of loss into the dawn of new life. Choosing to become an organ and tissue donor not only saves lives and extends the lives of others, but it can bring healing and meaning for your loved ones in their hardest days. Our mission at HSHS St. John's is to reveal and embody Christ's healing love for all people through our high-quality Franciscan healthcare ministry. And this mission aligns with the Gift of Hope's mission to save and enhance as many lives as possible through organ and tissue donation. Without a donor, there is no story, no hope, no transplant. But when there is a donor, life springs from death. Sorrow turns to hope, and a terrible loss becomes a gift. Let the raising of the flag be a reminder to us that despair does not win. It is to be a symbol of hope for the brave families and those who honored their loved ones with their final good works. Over 106,000 people are currently waiting in the U.S. for a life-saving organ transplant. And every 10 minutes, another person joins that national transplant waiting list. So please register to be an organ and tissue donor today at giftofhope.org, and may you and your very being be a place of hope for others for the lasting legacy of your loved ones. Thank you.
So I made a few remarks. What I didn't say, because I didn't see her here, is Elaine Birch is here, and Elaine is the widow of Dr. Alan G. Birch. Elaine, would you stand and be recognized? I think Elaine and her son Mark were walking in maybe during my remarks, and I did not mean to not recognize you. I'm panning the audience, and I didn't see you over there. So I can tell you what Elaine is meant to this transplant program. You heard me talk about Dr. Birch. Elaine was his partner, and when they came here, what I said was, we started the transplant program. What didn't I say? He was chairman of surgery. And he also was the head of graduate medical education in the formative years of a medical school that's now 51 years of age. And every day I have the honor of serving in this organization, but when I see what academic medicine has done for our community, whether at HSHS or Memorial or the Springfield Clinic or anywhere around Central Illinois, it's changed the face of healthcare. And there were some 4 founding fathers. Dr. Birch was one that took a leap of faith and came out here from Hopkins and Harvard, where he trained, to this cornfield here in Central Illinois and turned this sleepy little community into a full-fledged academic medical center. We owe a lot to those founding people that came 50 years ago. And Elaine, to you and your family and all that you did over the last 5 decades here is nothing short of amazing. So we're so glad you're here to help us celebrate today, and you too, Mark.
Thank you, Ed. Our next speaker is the Chief Executive Officer of the Gift of Hope Organ Procurement Organization. Please welcome Dr. Harry Wilkins.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Dr. Harry Wilkins, and I am the CEO of Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network. My staff sends me up here with talking points so that I will stay on script. I find it very hard during this month because I come at this with such passion. I was a trauma surgeon for 36 years before I took over as CEO. I can see some of you thinking now, when did I start? Was I 5? Yeah, I know. But just up until a year and a half ago, I was at the bedside, and many times I faced those donor families that had to make that difficult decision. So I know what that takes. I've been in donor operations, I've been in transplant operations, and I can tell you that what Dr. Garfinkel and his staff do, and every time I see this, it just seems to be a miracle of transplantation. I will tell you, especially during Donate Life Month, and at Gift of Hope, we celebrate donors every day, but it's nice that we have a month to celebrate throughout America. But the big miracle to me is that so many people say yes to donation under the circumstances that they do. So that's how I come to this work. It's an incredible honor. I do want to ask one question. I ask a lot of questions. Will those in the audience who are organ donors please raise their hand? Okay, I'm not going to embarrass and say how many are not, but for those of you who are not, I'm going to reiterate this again. Please consider it. I'm going to make that plea at the end. But I want to talk a little bit about Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network and who we are and what we do. We are one of 57 private non-for-profit organizations that are contracted through the federal government to coordinate organ and tissue donation through our area. Our particular area is all of Illinois, most of Illinois, and parts of Northwest Indiana. It's the third largest in the country. To do this work, we don't do this alone. We have a staff of about 320, but we oversee 12 million people, 180 hospitals, 10 transplant centers that have over 40 transplant programs. It is an awful lot of people. And it's at this time, it's not in my remarks, but I'm also a native Chicagoan. My profession has taken me all over. But I must say this, Mr. White, thank you. That is all I can say is thank you. Gift of Hope started as you may have heard him say, Roby. We began in 1986 as Regional Organ Bank of Illinois, and later on changed our name to Gift of Hope to better reflect our mission, because it truly is a gift of hope. And we'll hear from a tissue recipient that when you're waiting on that organ, you're waiting on that life-altering tissue, that's what you're clinging to, is hope. And so the Gift of Hope has been doing this since 1986. And just recently, we surpassed an amazing milestone. 30,000 organs for transplant that have saved 26,000 lives, and countless of tissue donors as well. We also had our 10,000th organ donor. We're only the third organization in the country to do this. So we're very, very proud of that milestone. And in honor of that, we have a goal of registering 30,000 new people this month. I set a personal goal of registering 15 myself, and I'm at 7 now. So those of you who didn't raise your hands, I'll be seeking you out. I still need 7 more before the 30th. But we can't do this work alone, and so it's great to see so many of you out here supporting National Donate Life Month. You can see representatives of all the organizations that we work with, and of course the donors and the donor families. Polly mentioned this. You mentioned 2 very big statistics. One is how many people are waiting, over 100,000. You also mentioned that every 10 minutes someone's added. But there's one statistic that she didn't mention, and this is the one that we must be mindful of. Every day, 17 people on that waiting list, they lose their life waiting for that call. And so we're very committed to make sure that the waiting list is eradicated and that everyone who needs an organ gets one. So in closing, what I'd like to say is I want you to leave here inspired today to register to be an organ donor or register someone who isn't to be an organ donor. Spread the word. Tell your story. I have 3 requests. Number 1, if you're not an organ donor, please register to be an organ donor. Number 2, once you've made that decision, have that discussion with your family. As a trauma surgeon and as people that approach these families at this time, there's nothing harder than to approach that family and for the family to not know the wishes of their loved one. Because if that time comes, you can't talk with them. So register, have the conversation, And then when you want to get information, and please get informed, our website, giftofhope.org, has more information, and you can register right there. So register, talk to your family, and be informed. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkins. Next, it's my honor to introduce to you Tiffany Mathis, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Boy and Girls Clubs of Central Illinois, as well as an organ recipient. Ms. Mathis?
Well, first I'd like to say I brag about being a Memorial baby. I was born at this hospital, which has set me up for a lot of greatness in life. So I just want to first say thank you to Memorial. Ed, love you, appreciate you. No, you can clap for that because it means a lot. I feel like it carries a lot of clap. I often lead off with that when I meet people, like, I was born at Memorial, right? So that should tell you everything you need to know. So when I turned 16 and got my driver's license, thank you, Secretary White, I signed up as an organ donor because that was just something that we did in my family. And I remember at the time, it just was a really big deal, and it seemed like there was a really big push at my high school to do that, and they were, meeting with teens. So I've been on that list for a long time. Unfortunately for me, bone and back stuff runs in my family, and so in 2016, I was 33. I ended up having to have spinal fusion surgery. So on the end of 2014, I was on a walker. I had my daughter. I couldn't get out of bed. I needed help going to the bathroom. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get out of bed on any given day. I was on a lot of pain medication for a really long time. It was very depressing. Honestly wanted to die because it's a lot of pain, and people really have no idea how much that hurts and the sciatic pain that comes with it. And so, met with a surgeon here and went through a couple things and went through some therapies, and they were like, hey, you're really young, but we have to do this surgery. So I had spinal fusion surgery in 2016 and later realized and was told by my friend Tina here, oh, that you were a tissue recipient. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I was. And something that was very significant to me when you talk about changing lives and the impact that is made for years to come is that when I was recovering from surgery and I was laying in my bed, I prayed that if God allowed me to walk and be mobile with no pain, because mind you, I've got like 2 kids at this point, I'm married, I'm trying to do all the things, that I would dedicate my life to being of service to any and everybody that I could, every moment that I could, and I would never sit down. Now, oftentimes I get criticized for running all over the place, and Tiffany, you're here and you're there, and oh my gosh, when do you sleep? But that's because I prayed for that. I have the bandwidth to do that. And because of this surgery, I don't hurt anymore when I walk. I can play with my kids. I also was impacted by the weight loss and wellness program here. I had gastric bypass surgery the year before that, which really helped because it qualified me at my BMI to have surgery. So when I tell you I love me some Memorial, I really mean that. I live up in here. And so I also was a blood recipient. I had some complications from a surgery at the end of 2020, and Memorial saved my life. I had blood transfusions, and I got to continue serving. And it just really means a lot to me. And I need you to understand, I'm able to bless other people and take care of people in this community because someone's family someone signed themselves up, and I got to receive that gift of mobility. And I cannot tell you how much that means to me and how much I implore you, please sign up if you haven't. You just never know. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here. And again, just to be able to always publicly say my thank yous, because a lot of people don't really know things that have happened to me. But I do know the impact that receiving a gift like that means, and I get to walk and work out and do all kinds of things that a lot of people take for granted. And I don't have to take pain medication anymore. So I've just really, really, really been very fortunate. I'm very grateful to Memorial and everybody here. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope that you'll consider signing up if you haven't. But thank you for allowing me to be here and share my story. And thank you for allowing me to serve this community, because I could not have done it without the tissue donor and the hospitals and the surgeons and things that have worked on me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mathis, for sharing your experience with us today. Next to the podium, I'd like to welcome Springfield Mayor Jim Langfelder.
Thank you, Chuck. Well, thank you very much. It's really humbling to be here, and it shows how blessed we are in our community. And the blessings go many different ways. Springfield's blessed to be the capital city, of course. We're very blessed to have a great medical community led by 2 level 1 trauma centers. And in 2015, this facility was opened thanks to the leadership of Ed Curtis as a learning and innovation center that taught our future physicians, our paramedics, and individuals that help us on healthcare. And really, I'd like to give a shout out also to Jim Allman, who has a difficult job being the coroner. He serves at a difficult time of our lives when the late, great Cinda Edwards had passed. And you've done a fabulous job. She's looking down upon you and really smiling upon you and the great services that you provide. So thank you very much. But aside from Abraham Lincoln, one of the great reasons to live in Illinois is Jesse White, Secretary of State. And they're not near the same age, of course. He was in the Cub Farm system, so he has I have a lot of admiration for him. But really, for myself, I did sign up as a donor when I heard the call from Jesse White, and it wasn't the first time I heard the message, but is that repeat passion that was referred to. And so he's really brought us a long way. You know, we reached the 7 million mark. It was during a pandemic. And it shows life goes on. And just to share some numbers, it only takes 30 seconds, thanks to the service of Secretary of State White and his great workers that carry on that passion, 30 seconds to sign up to be an organ donor. But through that time, that $3 million person increase, if my math's correct, that means on each person you impact an individual, you could impact 25 people's lives. So if you run the numbers, that 3 million translates into 75 million potential recipients. And that's astounding because of your 24 years of service, that's 3 million individuals that could have been impacted through organ donation. So thank you very much for your leadership on that. And then from a personal note, you never know when you might need help. As Tiffany Mathis had pointed out, her situation, and God bless that she was able to receive the help she did receive to find health care, but the impact she's made with the Boys and Girls Club, transforming the lives of the youngest ones in our community. But I have a friend that needed a liver donation, and he's in the prime of his life, you know, and all of a sudden he got the news and he almost passed, but thank God for a organ donator that he was able to survive and live fruitfully today. And then really a real hero in my life that some of you might not know that lives in the Enos Park area. I hold her in high regard. She's a living organ donor, and that is Michelle Ownby. And to me, that is the highest honor someone can give, that gift of life while they're walking this earth. For me, it's easy. I signed up as a donor, and I said, you know, I'm donating everything once I'm gone, but to make that decision while you're living is, you know, that's someone I really hold up to being a hero in our lives. So I really hope everybody does sign up, but it's great to get the word out. We thank the Gift of Hope for all their efforts to continuing the messaging and the importance of being an organ donor and tissue donor, not only in April, but each and every month of our lives. And thank you to the physicians that really carry out that mission to provide that gift of life for all of us and that security that we have. But most importantly, thank you, Jesse White, for all you've done to really move Illinois ahead of the nation in organ donations. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Langfelder, for your presence today and your remarks. Next on our agenda is Mr. Phillip Hanks, who's Illinois Secretary of State Organ Tissue Donor Program Coordinator. Mr. Hanks.
So, as mentioned, my name is Phillip Hanks, and I got a bit of a surprise for you that may or may not know me in the room. So yes, I am a coordinator for Secretary for the Organ and Tissue Donation Program. However, I'm also a recipient. So not less than a year ago, I had a 5-organ transplant. So April 23rd is my birthday, and April 26th will celebrate my 1-year anniversary of that 5-organ transplant. Thank you. So I'd like to speak on some of the previous speakers. I'd like to give a little bit more backbone to that. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to give it a try. Organ and tissue donation is, you have no clue how important it is. I needed an organ transplant, my first one, so actually I'm a total of 6 recipients, because in 2007 I had an organ transplant, which was a liver, and while I needed that liver transplant, my brother needed a kidney transplant. I got the liver in 2007. He did not get the kidney in time and passed away in 2009. So when the gentleman made the comment, let your family know and have that discussion and sign up, it's important. It's very important, because just like Secretary, I had to pull my brother off of life support. And when I went to pull him off life support, they pulled me into an office and asked me a question that in a million years I never thought that I'd be asked. And that is, do you want to donate your brother's organs? Now, imagine that you don't want one of your loved ones, your husband, your wife, your children, anyone that you may love or care about, to have to answer that question at that point in time when they're getting ready to lose you. So it's important to sign up for organ and tissue donation. Lifegoeson.com. Sign up there. You can go to your local Department of Motor Vehicles and sign up through there, but it's very important. And let me give you another reason why it's very important. As I stated, I am a 5-organ recipient. And like I said, that was less than a year ago. My daughter graduates college April 29th. She graduates from ISU. Tried to get her to go to U of I, but no success there. But my wife is a U of I alumni, and so is my brother-in-law, who I also raised, because I have 6 kids that are raised in total. When my mother-in-law got sick, I took my brother-in-law and I raised them. That's a total of 6 kids that still have their father. I'm a recent grandfather. My granddaughter is 3 months old. I was able to fly to North Carolina to see her born, hold her, and then my son and his new wife moved back here to the Chicagoland area, so I get to visit her and see her on a regular basis. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's in 8th grade, and she's getting ready to graduate in May. Can you imagine if a stranger had not signed up to become an organ donor to save my life, the impact that that would have had on my family? So I just want you to consider that. I want you to think about that. It's something that is near and dear to my heart. I never realized the importance of organ donation until in 2007, I needed that liver. So when the secretary asked me to join his staff as a coordinator, there was no question about it. I don't even think you could finish your sentence or put a period at the end of the sentence before I said yes. And I will go anywhere and speak anywhere, because that's how passionate I am about this. So once again, thanks to a complete stranger, a decision that a complete stranger made, I'm still standing here before you now. And I hope that inspires you. You can look up more on my story, Google or YouTube, Phillip Hanks, and you'll see my story in total. I also want to send out a special thank you to the doctors, nurses, and the surgeons. You guys have a thankless job. I was an IT director before all of this took place. So about a year ago, I was managing 7 teams, the whole 9 yards, and IT is a thankless position. I feel very strongly, anytime I see a nurse in scrubs, I stop whatever I'm doing to say thank you, because you guys have a thankless job. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for everyone on this panel. I really appreciate everything you do. And sign up. It's important. Thank you.
Mr. Hanks, thank you for your inspiring, courageous story and lifting us up and helping us understand why this is so important. At this time, I'd like to ask Julie Jones, a chaplain here at Memorial Health, to step forward to help us in a flag dedication ceremony. Thank you.
Over the years, my colleagues and I have gathered out around the flagpole many times with families who've been living the darkest moments of their lives. Families who are in the beginning stages of understanding the depth of grief surrounding the loss of a loved one. And around the flagpole, we acknowledge the deep loss of their loved one, and we give thanks for their decision to pursue organ donation. And then we raise a flag. In raising of the flag, we take one simple step in declaring hope, that out of the tragedy at hand, another may experience life. This is a practice that's used not only in our facility, but at other health systems across this world. So today we raise another flag, not for one particular person, but for the collective. For those who've gone before, for those living with transplanted organs, and for those who are still waiting to receive a life-saving organ, bone, tissue, or cornea transplant. And so we dedicate this flag raising. In raising of this flag today, we lift up all the donors who have selflessly given of themselves the gift of life to make life possible for others through organ, bone, tissue, and eye donation. In raising of this flag today, we lift up the families of our donors who were able to reach beyond their darkest moments of grief to offer hope to someone who is walking their own darkness. In raising of this flag today, we lift up our hospital staffs, those who use their gifts and talents to compassionately care for our donors, their families, and our recipients. In raising this flag today, we lift up the recipients who've been given the gift of hearts, lungs, livers, pancreases, kidneys, bone, tissue, and eyesight. In raising this flag today, we lift up those who are still waiting for a life-saving organ. May this flag be a beacon of hope to all. Amen.
Well done, Julie. Thank you very much. At this time in our program, we're going to entertain a few questions, if there are any from the audience, to our members of the panel. If you have one, raise your hand and we'll deliver a microphone to you. Seeing none, I think if you didn't understand what organ donation was about, I think after this last hour you certainly do. And so I really, Dr. Wilkins. Did the panelists get to ask something? Yes.
Because I really would like to know, your story was very, very moving. What I would like to know is, can you tell us all what it's like while you're waiting for that life-saving organ, if you don't mind?
It's pretty hard. You have to hold on to hope every single day because you never know when you're going to get that call. So a little bit more in depth, just a little bit into my story. It was an amazing week, the week of my birthday. I thought it was going to be the last birthday that I saw. I just turned 50. But that week, in preparation for my birthday, my wife was running around doing all these things behind my back, trying to plan a surprise birthday party that I knew little to nothing about. I got a call 4 days before my birthday. And that call was, we have someone, you need to get to Indianapolis as soon as possible. We drove the 3.5-hour trip. I think I did it in 3. We got there, and I waited anxiously. I got there at about midnight and waited anxiously all night until 10 a.m. the next morning when they finally told me. They came into the room, they had me prepped, and they told me that something was wrong with the pancreas. So they stopped the whole entire operation and delayed it. So on the way driving home after staying up 2 days, trying to fight to stay awake while trying to give my wife some rest and sleep. She's over on her phone just going crazy, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep. Well, little known to me, she was setting back up the surprise birthday party that she canceled because she thought I was going to be in a hospital. She gave me an awesome surprise birthday party. It was great, and 3 days after my birthday on the 26th, got another phone call. And once again, I thought that was my last birthday until I got that next phone call. So it's stressful. And I meant to let you guys know what organs I received, because that's usually a common question that I get. I received a pancreas, a liver, upper lower intestine, liver. Did I say liver already? Okay. Kidney and stomach. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that question and for your sharing your story with us again, Mr. Hanks. Are there any questions from anyone else in the audience? All right, well, at this time, I'd like to thank and recognize our panel. Please thank you for joining us today, and I want to thank you for joining us today and participating in this event. Please have a wonderful day and be safe.